I'd like to say thank you to Sarah Murphy, who's leading our chorus and our choir today. She's been pivotal in all of this. Thank you, Sarah. The next song is The Miracle. I met Jamsie and Christine. I met Jamsie first in a chest, heart and stroke group of the younger people, quote, because a younger person's stroke group tends to be in their 50s sometimes, so they're not young as the way we'd see it. I met Jamsie and he described to me certain problems that he'd faced after having a stroke, and I thought it was worth keeping in touch with him. So went to his home and there met he and his primary care and his wife, Christine, and developed a really lovely relationship with these generous, warm and welcoming people who've been the source of 3 of the songs you're going to hear tonight. Now, when we hear about stroke, what we think about is physical incapacity, the loss of the ability to speak, the difficulty of walking or moving a hand. What's less acknowledged is the emotional consequences of the kind of change that stroke wreaks upon a life, because you emerge from a stroke not the person you were before. So depression is a common consequence of stroke. People live with relationships that have been challenged and skewed by what's happened. Your previous role in a married life is not the same as what it was. Dependencies change. It's all very difficult in that respect, as I'm sure a lot of the people here who've experienced stroke will acknowledge. This is a short song about depression, if you like. About crying, about the emotional overflow of the pressure of living with a changed self, and a kind of miracle, or the way Jamsie climbed out of that depression and sadness. And it's to do with a trip to Lourdes, the miracle.
Life after a stroke is hard. It's very, very, very hard. It's hard on your family. It's hard on my wife, Christine, because our whole lifestyle had to be changed, and it all was for my benefit because I had a stroke. And I mean, things that it came naturally to you that you can't do anymore. And I had depression and had other things that frustration, and once I got over that, I went to Lourdes and came back, and I seen things in Lourdes that opened my eyes, and that was little children, young adults, and wheelchairs and beds and all. And I just said to myself, I'm better off than what am I crying about? So that's where the acceptance part comes into it. So I accepted then all about my stroke, and my life has been happier since Lourdes, which I'm very, very thankful for.
The first 2 years were very hard. So many tears. They cry a lot, the doctor said. Why me, he asked. What did I do? What happened to the man I knew? No rest. He's terminally depressed. The ceaseless crying. The sweat of trying to console him. Restless sleeping. Always weeping.
The first 2 years were very hard. So many tears. They cry a lot, the doctor said. So many tears. They cry a lot. So many tears.
restless sleeping, always weeping. He won't go out, forsakes his friends, looks forward to the end. What will the future bring? No point in anything.
No point, no point. And then, last call, gate 10, it's time to board the pilgrimage to Lourdes.
And then, last call, gate 10. It's time to board the pilgrimage to Lourdes. We kneel beside the halt, the lame, the dying. We don't expect a cure for crying.
Girls slumped in wheelchairs, boys with nervous tics. We kneel beside the halt, the lame, the dying. We don't expect to find a cure for crying. Girls slumped in wheelchairs, boys with nervous tics. Their parents looking for the trick of miracles, looking for the trick of miracles.
Girls slumped in wheelchairs, boys with nervous tics. Their parents praying for the trick of miracles. He breathes the air, absorbs the field of collective prayer. Arise, arise, he wipes his eyes. His tears stop flowing. The greater suffering of others, the misery of weeping mothers, checks his sorrow.
Wipes his eyes. His tears stop flowing. His self-pity checked. He wipes his eyes. The greatest suffering of others, the misery of weeping mothers, is self-pity checked. His tears stop flowing. His tears stop flowing. His tears stop. His tears stop.
Jamsie and Christine, please put their hands up. There they are. I want to say how brave and generous it is of them to share this kind of intimate, emotional landscape with us. I think it's a big deal to do that, and thank you.
I think this will linger long. I think this will be something that they'll talk about for months and weeks and maybe years to come. It'll be one of those things that'll bind people together and say, do you remember when we went to the Playhouse and sang those songs? I think it's really good.